Today on State Scoop's Priorities Podcast, what states can learn from each other about AI. Welcome to State Scoop's Priorities Podcast. Every Wednesday, you'll get insights into the state and local government community, hear from top leaders, and learn about the latest news and trends across the industry. I'm Colin Wood, State Scoop's Editor-in-Chief. Here's what's happening this week. Indiana state agencies on Tuesday warned residents to delete phony emails sent from official state government email addresses. The state's Office of Technology said the phishing attack was the result of a former contractor's hacked email account. President Donald Trump last week vowed to end the Digital Equity Act, which funds programs like digital literacy training and boosts access to devices. Trump called the act unconstitutional and a giveaway based on race, but overturning the law should require an act of Congress. And Nevada lawmakers are considering a bill that would create a statewide security operations center. It would offer school districts, local governments, and other public offices greater access to cyber services and products. You can find more about these stories on statescoop.com. A new report from the nonprofit Govern for America has tips from state governments on how best to create new policies for artificial intelligence. Joining the podcast this week are Talita Elizeu, the group's Director of Partnerships, and Cara Eckholm, its Research Director. They tell State Scoop's Keely Quinlan why they think states early in the process of creating AI governance can learn from those further along in the process.
Tell me about the inception of this report. What were some of the driving motivators for, putting this together?
Yeah, so I'm Talita Elizeu. I work with Govern for America. Our work as an organization is building pipelines of diverse early career talent to roles in government. And we decided to look at this because we wanted to understand how states are deploying AI and the capacity needed and the kind of skill sets, particularly if early career talent was needed, and how early career talent was really driving the work of expanding AI in government. So that was a little bit of why we started. Cara, do you want to add in there?
Yeah, sure. Maybe just to add to that. So there's been a lot of discourse about the role of AI in the delivery of federal government services, yet most people actually interact more with their state and local government. And we noticed that a lot of states were forming these AI task forces that had, in some cases, kind of nebulous combinations of people, and it wasn't really clear what they were doing, and no one had written about it. And so we figured, why don't we actually go ahead and contact the person who is meant to be the lead of the AI task force and hear about what it is they're doing and try to see if we could identify a common set of actions that states were taking with respect to rollout of an AI strategy that potentially states that were further along in their journey, the states that are earlier in their journey could learn from those who are further along.
Right. And so what was the process like of building this? I know you guys conducted a lot of interviews and a lot of surveys. So tell me about what was the timeline like? I would love to hear the details kind of behind, the creation of this.
Yeah, so we started working together on this last summer, in the middle of the summer, and or early summer in June. And over the course of several months, interviewed 11 states and really over 50 between all of our interviews of state leaders. We talked to technologists, university advisors, and Cara can jump into this a little bit, but really one of the biggest challenges that we had was how to get in touch with state CIOs and how to get people to talk to us and figure out what spaces where we were going to be able to actually connect with people. But yeah, Cara, I'd love for you to jump in there.
Yeah, so I mean, AI was our friend in helping us compile an interview list, and that, we made a list of the 50 states, and then we did, I think it was on ChatGPT, but a search for which states had announced a task force or appointment of a chief AI officer. And then once we had that initial list, we did kind of the manual digging of, okay, so if they have a task force, who's on it, who seems like they're the point. And then we reached out to that individual, honestly, in many cases through a cold email. It didn't always work, but in some cases it did. And then we often would get passed along to another person who was kind of actually the person operating the day-to-day. And that tactic probably got us to about half the folks we wanted to speak with. And then through a partnership with the Center for Public Sector AI, which has been convening a bi-weekly peer group of state AI advisors. They just started that actually around the time that we had launched this research report. We were able to then kind of like crack the nut on the folks that we had not interviewed yet.
Gotcha. Wait, so y'all use ChatGPT to like build out the prompts and like to figure out, I want to hear more about that. Like what specifically did you like prompt it with? Like I just think that's so fascinating that you used AI for a report about AI.
Yeah, so less building out the prompts of what the research question should be, but more trying to figure out who the right point of contact was. I mean, states put out so much press material that it's really difficult to sort through manually. So, we prompted, hey, we're writing a report about the role of AI in state governments. Can you provide me a list of all the states that have named a chief AI officer and the name of that individual? That type of prompt to try to develop an initial list.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, you're preaching to the choir when it comes to trying to sort through all of the information states put out because it is a lot. You're so right. And so, were any of the like findings, I guess, surprising to you? I know personally, I found the 50% failure rate for pilot programs that use specifically that custom AI solution pretty surprising. Was there anything else that you guys were like, whoa, wait a minute?
Yeah, I mean, maybe just to double click on that 50% number, I think that number feels more tangible when you think about your own experience of using AI. So, state government employees are people too. And if you think about like the prompts you may have tried in ChatGPT or an equivalent in the past, I would say about half the times the AI comes back with something that's actually usable. And about half you're like, okay, I see it's trying, but the technology is not quite there yet. So I think it's important to situate the 50% in that context, in that we heard that number multiple times, but it was a 50% failure rate. However, that doesn't mean we're going to totally discard the use of AI ever for the problem that we're trying to solve. Like there was a very particular example of a state that was trying to identify people who were illegally selling liquor in their state. And they basically built an agentic AI model to try to identify and ticket those people. And it did not succeed. But their takeaway was not that this will never succeed. It was rather that will not succeed in its current state. And that was before kind of like agentic AI had become a thing. I feel like it's just become a thing in the last 3 months.
Right.
It's changing really rapidly.
No, I just wanted to say we get this just to affirm what Cara has said. We've really built out a roadmap for states who are just getting started to be able to have a place to start and implement effectively and be able to learn and have that those consolidated learnings and be able to take that away and implement in their own state. And I think particularly when we're thinking about the type of talent that is needed, the positions that we've outlined with our director, the product manager, and the policy manager, those types of roles can really help states guide their next steps. So I think those are kind of just the fact that we have a roadmap, I think is really helpful for states in general.
States have a common set of services they offer regardless of where they sit in our very diverse country. And I think there's a lot that states that are just starting on their AI strategy development today can learn from those states that are now 2 years into it. It was really interesting to see just within the state cohort that we interviewed, Vermont actually started developing an AI strategy in 2018. So they were the first mover. And as a result, were a lot more sophisticated in thinking about policies rollout than those who started in 2022 when ChatGPT was first released. So I hope that this report can be a small part of a knowledge transfer that will occur over the next couple of years.
All right, cool. Another thing I think that is really important that we highlight is like how governments should use these insights to anticipate challenges, particularly with workforce, right? They're asking for more people and more hands to help kind of lead these AI efforts. So, what can governments do right now on that workforce front to ensure that they're ready for, the full-blown AI uptake?
Okay, yeah, I think one thing we heard consistently was the importance of training. So I think, in the most mature states, there was a recognition that regardless of whether you have a policy, in the same way that people are using AI tools at home, they likely will use them at work at some point, regardless of what your policy is. So it's better to get ahead of it and come out with training that helps people understand the potential as well as the limitations of the technology today. So you don't end up in a scenario where it's being used in negligent or malicious ways. And so I think, most of the states that we spoke with who were a couple of years into their journey at this point had rolled out a baseline training program that was a precondition for employees who wanted to access enterprise versions of whether it was Copilot or Claude, whatever that state had chosen. So I think, if you're thinking about what you can do on day one, there's a great free training from Innovate US, another nonprofit. That's something that any state could pick up off the shelf today and use with their employees.
Yeah, I think there is, for particularly on the early career talent side, this idea that entry level roles are going to be automated. And I think that really overlooks the reality that early career talent has just a general a baseline higher understanding of how to utilize AI and how to drive, like how to bring it and incorporate into their day-to-day work. And so with a generation that already has those skills and is already building it, they can drive pilot implementation, they can kind of change culture. And so really thinking about how can you be utilizing early career talent to bring that type of innovation and efficiency into your office.
Gotcha. And so, if folks want to find out more about the report and your organization, where can they go?
They can go to govforamerica.org. We have our website, our report posted on our website.
Talita Elizeu and Cara Eckholm from Govern for America. You can learn more about their work at statescoop.com. You can subscribe to the Priorities Podcast at prioritiespodcast.com. This recording is a production of Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Thanks to Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher for helping to put it together. I'm Colin Wood. Thanks for listening.